जय।
जय
जमुना माई की जय।
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय।
जय
भक्ति देवी की जय।
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
गौर प्रेम आनंदे।
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्ण
All glory to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari
हरे
Bo.
हरि बोल।
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ओम
ॐ नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ओम
ॐ नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
We're reading and discussing Lord Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. Here we are, chapter 3. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's stay at the house of Advaita Acharya. So this is a summary. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the third chapter. After accepting the sannyas order at Katva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled continuously for 3 days in Radha Desh, and by the trick of Nityananda Prabhu, eventually came to the western side of Shantipur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was induced to believe that the river Ganges was the Jamuna. When he was worshipping the sacred river, Advaita Prabhu arrived in a boat. Advaita Prabhu asked him to take his bath in the Ganges and took him to his Advaita's house. There, all the Navadvip devotees, along with Mother Sachi Devi, came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This house was located at Shantipur. Mother Sachi Devi cooked for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, and at that time there were many joking exchanges between Advaita Prabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. In the evening, there was a mass Sankirtan at the house of Advaita Prabhu, and Mother Sachi Devi gave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu permission to leave. She requested him to make Jagannath Puri Nilachal his headquarters. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu granted his mother's request, and followed by Nityananda, Mukunda, Jagadananda, and Damodar, left Shantipur. Bidding farewell to Mother Sachi Devi, they all proceeded toward Jagannath Puri, following the path of Chhatra Bhoga. Do you have any questions or comments or observations related to that?
This chapter is going to narrate this pastime.
Which pastime?
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is reaching to Advaita Acharya's home.
Yes. So that was Amrita Pravaha Bhashya is the commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhashya means commentary. So he called it Amrita Pravaha. Yeah. So that he just summarized it there, and then the details will be here in this chapter, in more elaborate details. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did we?
How? Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah. Did we? I know this started. Madhya Lila started. The chapter in Adi Lila ended is with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas or something? I forgot.
Yeah, the details of Lord Chaitanya's taking sannyas are not elaborately given there. The details you'll find in the Chaitanya Bhagavat in great detail about Lord Chaitanya's taking sannyas, but it's given there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, there's some details given, but usually, the Adi Lila particularly, it's what Chaitanya Charitamrita expresses is what's not given in detail in the Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Yeah.
So that details are pretty much given in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and we can discuss it if you want, but in the course of this chapter, no problem.
No, I was just curious, connecting the dots in this past time. Okay, so maybe it's summarized in the last chapter of Adi Lila. So
Yeah.
yes, okay, thank you.
In the summary, it says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was strict in. How is it possible that he gets tricked into believing that he is crossing the Yamuna and not the Ganges?
It's not possible.
So he allowed it to happen. It's a pastime.
Yes, just like how is it possible for Lord Jagannath to get sick, or for Lord Krishna to get a headache?
Yeah.
It's not possible unless he wants it. So, but it appears that way. So you'll see it appears that he's tricked, and but he can't be, because he's responding to the wishes of his devotees. Good question, though. This is Sanskrit, I suppose. Nyasam vidyat vidhayu pranayota gauro vrindavanam gatumana brahmadya radhe brahman shantipurim avitya lalasa bhaktar ihatam natosmi. Translation. After accepting the sannyas order of life, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of intense love for Krishna, wanted to go to Vrindavan. But apparently, by mistake, he wandered in Radha Desh. Later, he arrived at Shantipur and enjoyed himself there with his devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 2.
জয় জয় শ্রী চৈতন্য, জয় নিত্যানন্দ, জয় আদ্বৈত চন্দ্র, জয় গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ।
All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas.
24 বৎসর শেষ যেই মাঘ মাস, তার শুক্ল পক্ষে প্রভু করিলা সন্ন্যাস।
At the end of his 24th year, in the month of Magh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyas order during the waxing period of the moon.
সন্ন্যাস করি প্রেমাবেশে চলিলা বৃন্দাবন, রাঢ় দেশে 3 দিন করিলা ভ্রমণ।
After accepting the sannyas order, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of intense love for Krishna, started for Vrindavan. However, he mistakenly wandered about in trance continuously for 3 days in the tract of land known as Radha Desh. Purport. The word Radha Desh comes from the word Rashtra or state. From Rashtra, the corrupted word Radha has come. The part of Bengal on the western side of the Ganges is known as Radha Desh. Another name is Pondra Desh or Pendu Desh. The word Pendu is a corrupted form of the word Pondra. It appears that the capital of Rashtra Desh was situated in that part of Bengal. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age or advancement in Krishna consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya here is spending 3 days, says, wandering, apparently mistakenly, in what was the name of the place that he's traveling in?
Radha Desh.
Radha Desh.
Is it Radha or Radha? Which one is it?
Radha.
Radha. Yeah. So I guess it makes a difference whether you have 2 long days or 1 long day. Radha is Srimati Radharani, but Radha here is in the cases this area of Bengal, west of the Ganges. East of the Ganges, you'll find especially lots of tributaries and and branches of the Ganges, but west not so much. If you look at a map, have you ever noticed that? So you look at a map of the Ganges, all the branches are coming mostly, there's east that way. So it's interesting that the Radha comes from Rashtra. So if over time changes happen to words, and they become, as mentioned here, corrupted. Just like I don't know if you know anybody from Guyana, Trinidad, those places, because during the 18th and 19th century, late 18th and the early 19th century, the British Empire, they brought a lot of people from India as indentured servants to Trinidad and Guyana. And so about 40% of the population there is of Indian descent. But if you read some of their literature or talk to them, they have very interesting adjustments or corruptions of some of the words. For example, the name of the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj is
Shukdev Goswami.
Shukdev. So there in Guyana, they call it Sookdeo. Sookdeo. Sukdeo. So it's been changed, corrupted over time. Yeah. And what to speak of that, even in the Hare Krishna movement, there's this sweet that they make with bundi and sugar water. And what is that called? Laddu, yeah. But because when you say laddu, you put the tongue kind of in the back for the D, and the initial, the new original devotees, they couldn't figure out what is going on with that, so it came out as being laglu or laddu, laglu. So for years, we were saying luglu, and you can find it in many recipes, Luglu, but actually it's bundika lardu. But Prabhupada would say lardu, and they say, "Oh, luglu, yes, okay." So over
In
time,
our,
things.
in our language, ladulu means plural.
Oh, okay, there's another thing. So we're going all in a different direction.
Ladulu.
Prabhuji, in Bengal, when we read the history of literature, we read it Rad Desh.
How do you say that?
Rad.
Yeah, Rod. No even soft A there, right? Okay,
No,
Rod.
no. D-A-H, da. It's Rada Desh. Rad is Bengal.
Yes. So yeah, so it's separate from Radha, which is Srimati
Yeah.
Radharani. Sometimes you'll hear when we chant that prayer at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam class, Jaya Radha Madhava. We Westerners tend to say Jaya Radha Radha. We tend to say.
I heard.
You notice that, Madhavani, Radha Madhava. So, but that's
I
we would be
always
talking.
sing a Jaya Radha Madhava.
Yeah, it's really, you hear Srila Prabhupada will say Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we respond Jaya Radha Madhava. Just our habits, but corrupting the actual word Radha Madhava. But anyway, this is where Lord Chaitanya was spending the first 3 days after accepting sannyas, and then we read that what day did Lord Chaitanya accept sannyas? That's a festival or a holy day that took place, do you remember what day it was?
I remember the month was Magh Mas.
Magh
Magh
Mas.
Mas. Yeah. Magh Mas. And it didn't mention the specific day here in Caitanya Charitamrita, but he said it's in the bright fortnight, because every month, every Vedic
moon.
or Hindu Vedic month, there's 2 fortnights. The bright fortnight means when the moon is waxing from new moon to full moon, and the dark fortnight means when the moon is waning from full moon to dark moon. Yeah. So in the traditional Hindu months, of which Magh was one, the first day of the month is after Amavasya, right?
Yeah.
That's Patipat. And in the ISKCON system, or the Vaishnav system of months, our first day of the month is the day after Purnima. So it's off. It's off 2 weeks, in case you didn't realize that. So we say we observe the month of Damodar shortly. In a couple of months, month and a half, we'll observe the month of Damodar, which starts a couple of weeks before the month of Kartik, the traditional month of Kartik. You follow?
Yeah, that's why India and here we have different 15 days, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's
not India, it's South India mostly.
South India, I'm sorry.
Every state might have a slightly adjusted way they observe their calendars, but anyway. So, but what day of the bright fortnight of the month of Magh? Of course, at Lord Chaitanya's time, who established this Vaishnav calendar? That was established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it wasn't in effect at the time of Lord Chaitanya, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took the position that, well, just as in the Western calendar, they started the first year is started when? When is year 1?
Jesus Christ born.
Yeah, they have the birth of Jesus Christ, and right after that, that's so. So the Vaishnav calendar, what's more important than the most recent appearance of Lord Krishna himself? So the Vaishnav's calendar, although it wasn't in effect at Lord Chaitanya's time specifically, it was introduced by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But I was surprised when I looked through the Vaishnav calendar to try to find the exact date. Like there's, each fortnight, there's different days, Pratipat, Dvitiya, Tritiya, like that. And it's not on there on our Vaishnav calendar. I thought it used to be on there, but I didn't see it there. So perhaps some of you know the exact date, moon date of Lord Chaitanya's taking sannyas. But it's according to some, was on Makara Shankranti day, the day he took sannyas, which is in Magh. Does that you follow? And Mr. Kirtan Prabhu, did you have any questions about Lord Chaitanya's taking of sannyas? We can discuss a little bit here if you like.
It says that he took at the end of 24th year, age of 24. So I was just kind of, it's like because Gaur Purnima is in March. So it's before he finishes 24 year, looks like he took sannyas.
Yeah, it's about a month and a half before that. He didn't quite finish, but near the end, but not exactly the end. You follow?
Yeah, I was looking at the calendar, February calendar, to see if it fell. I don't know the exact date on this with me.
Yeah, I thought it used to be on there, and I think there's a couple of there's a book that Srila Prabhupada completed on the day that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, but I couldn't find it just now. And I know Lord Srila Prabhupada took sannyas the day that Vishwarup took sannyas. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So somehow they didn't, but that date is also not there. So on our GBC Vaishnav calendar.
You brought that point, Gaurabda. That's very important.
Yes,
that
Gaurabda. Yeah.
to start following, actually, even though within the devotee community, so that it becomes prominent.
Yeah. Yes. Each month is named after one of the different expansions of Lord Vishnu, like Keshav month, Rishikesh month, Madhusudan month, like those. The same mantras that you use to put the 12 tilak marks on your body.
If BBT calendar can do a little more work and try to add, it'll help the community by putting
Okay.
Just thinking.
Yeah, sure. That's good. Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas here. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya, he took sannyas. We learned that he left his mother's home and then crossed the Ganges and went to a town called Katwa, now called Katwa. I don't think it was called Katwa, but now it's called Katwa. And then the place where Lord Chaitanya took sannyas there's a temple called Gaurangabari. Many people in Bengal are familiar with Kalibari. Kalibari, place of goddess Kali worship, but Gaurangabari is there where Lord Chaitanya took sannyas in north. Katwa's a bit northwest of Mayapur, Navadvip area, along the banks of the Ganges also. Other questions?
It is, though we celebrate, it is a very devastating to the hearts of devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking sannyas because devotees wants to see the Lord is enjoyed and they get satisfaction. And looks like renunciation he takes, even though for the delivering the conditioned souls, but for the devotees, taking austere life is very painful. I can briefly imagine that how painful all the devotees may have gone through when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went for sannyas, shaving his head. And sannyas ashram is kind of a social suicide or something like called social suicide.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta used to describe it like that.
Yeah, because voluntarily rejecting everything social relations for the complete surrendering to the Supreme Lord and for the
Well,
benefit.
no, all material social relations, not all social, but all material social
All
relations.
material, yeah.
Yeah. So they still maintain their relations, but not in a spiritual level. In other words, especially they don't, a sannyasi isn't involved in politics and things like that, or even when Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning of the movement, he presided over getting his disciples married, which usually a sannyasi doesn't do. That's more on the material set, but he said it would be required for their spiritual advancement. So he did that. But after a short time, he didn't do it anymore. Yeah, he preferred that others do that function, when they became a little qualified to do those kinds of ceremonies. So that more material social function was reduced. That makes sense.
Yeah. I was thinking also when Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura,
Yes.
devastating for all the residents of Braj. How we take, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just took sannyas like that, but it will be same situation for residents of Navadip. I'm assuming that when Krishna left Navadip.
Krishna as Lord Chaitanya left Navadip, yeah.
Yeah. You want to say something on that?
Oh, it's just very interesting that, so there's a contrast between Lord Chaitanya, even though he took sannyas, he invited all the devotees from Navadvip to visit him every year. And how long did they visit him for?
4 months.
4 months.
Mm.
4 months. So that's a good long time, good long vacation to be with Lord Chaitanya. So even though on one hand, he's spiritualizing his apparently, what might be considered from a mundane standpoint as material involvements, still he maintained those relationships on a spiritual level in his relations in Jagannath Puri. And even his mother Sachi, he explained to her that he would come every day to accept her offerings. And well, she was in Navadvip and he was elsewhere. That's pretty amazing.
I'll ask you some other point on that, relevant to that. So that's a nice point you made that, okay, even though the gopis did not get to see Krishna, after Krishna left, but you're saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed them.
Not only allowed, he invited them. He said he asked them to come. He asked them, please come.
So my point is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching by his example. He's living in Vipralamba, in love in separation. And what would be the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are living in association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What mode they had it?
What mode? Like, for example, who are you talking about?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in separation from Krishna as Radha.
Yes. And so you're talking about like Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar, those devotees who were there in Puri, who were his constant associates.
Yeah,
they had the same. They were encouraging and enhancing Lord Chaitanya's mood of separation by always talking about Krishna and reminding him of Krishna. That's what one of their functions was. Even so separation and meeting are two things. So they were also enhancing that remembrance of Krishna, which can be felt in separation.
That's my point, was because even though they were with Krishna, still they were living, expressing same mode of separation from Krishna then.
Yes, enhancing that mood for Lord Chaitanya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry if I deviated from the subject.
It's okay. This is. We we want to go, look at things from different angles. It's good. It's a good thing. So Lord Krishna left Vrindavan, and practically he came back maybe once, but that was it. And the residents of Vrindavan, the rest of the lives. But here, Lord Chaitanya, even though he took sannyas, he still saw so many of his close associates. They weren't necessarily family members, but they were his close associates from his early days. Gadadhar Pandit was there in his early days. Srivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit was his classmate and that stuff. Okay, next 5.
এই শ্লোক পড়ি প্রভুর ভাবের আবেশে ভ্রমিতে পবিত্র কইল সব রার দেশে।
Passing through the tract of land known as Rad Desh, did I say it right? Rad Desh. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited the following verse in ecstasy. This is Sanskrit.
Yes.
Etam saastaya paratmanishtang adyashitang purvat mayar mahadbhi aham tarishyami turantapadam tamo mukundangri nivevayaiva. As the Brahmin from Avanti Desh said, I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In connection with this verse, which is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:23-57, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that of the 64 items required for rendering devotional service, acceptance of the symbolic marks of sannyas is a regulative principle. If one accepts the sannyas order, his main business is to devote his life completely to the service of Mukunda, Krishna. If one does not completely devote his mind and body to the service of the Lord, he does not actually become a sannyasi. It is not simply a matter of changing dress. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.1, it is also stated, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ja sasannyasi cha yogi cha. One who works devotedly for the satisfaction of Krishna is a sannyasi. The dress is not sannyas, but the attitude of service to Krishna is. The word Paratma Nishtha means being a devotee of Lord Krishna. Paratma, the Supreme Person, is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. Those who are completely dedicated to the lotus feet of Krishna in service are actually sannyasis. As a matter of formality, the devotee accepts the sannyas dress as previous acharyas did. He also accepts the 3 dandas. Later, Vishnugada considered that accepting the dress of a tridandi was paratmanishta. Therefore, sincere devotees add another danda, the jiva danda, to the 3 existing dandas. So you got that 3 dandas, and then there's a 4th danda. Yeah. The Vaishnava sannyasi is known as Tridandi sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasi accepts only 1 danda, not understanding the meaning of Tridanda. Later, many persons in the community of Shiva Shami gave up the Atmanishta, devotional service of the Lord, and followed the path of Shankaracharya. Instead of accepting 108 names, those in the Shiva Shami Sampradaya follow the path of Shankaracharya and accept the 10 names of sannyas. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the then existing order of sannyas, namely Ekadanda, he still recited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam about the Tridanda sannyas accepted by the Brahmin of Avantipur. Indirectly, he declared that within the Ekadanda, one danda, 4 dandas existed as one. Accepting Ekadanda sannyas without Paratmadishta, devotional service to Lord Krishna, is not acceptable to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In addition, according to the exact regulative principles, one should add the Jiva Danda to the Tridanda. These 4 dandas bound together as one are symbolic of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Because the Ekadandi sannyasis of the Mayavadi school are not devoted to the service of Krishna, they try to merge into the Brahman effulgence, which is a marginal position between material and spiritual existence. They accept this impersonal position as liberation. Mayavadi sannyasis, not knowing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Tridandi sannyasi, think of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an Ekadandi sannyasi. This is due to their bewilderment. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no such thing as an Ekadandi sannyasi. Indeed, the Tridandi sannyasi is accepted as the symbolic representation of the sannyas order. By citing this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyas order recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Mayavadi sannyasis who are enamored of the external energy of the Lord cannot understand the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To date, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu following his footsteps accept the sannyas order and keep the sacred thread and tuft of unshaved hair. The Ekadandi sannyasis of the Mayavadi school give up the sacred thread and do not keep any tuft of hair. Therefore, they are unable to understand the purport of Tridandi sannyas, and as such, they are not inclined to dedicate their lives to the service of Mukunda. They simply think of merging into the existence of Brahman because of their disgust with material existence. The acharyas who advocate the Daiva Varnashrama, the social order of Chaturvarnyam mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, they do not accept the proposition of Asura Varnashram, which maintains that the social order of Varna is indicated by birth. The most intimate devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, namely Gadadhar Pandit, accepted Tridanda sannyas and also accepted Madhava Upadhyay as his Tridandi sannyasi disciple. It is said that from this Madhvacharya, the sampradaya known in Western India as the Vallabhacharya sampradaya has begun. Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is known as a Smrityacharya in the Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya, later accepted the Tridandi sannyas order from Tridandi Pad Prabodhananda Saraswati. Although acceptance of Tridanda sannyas is not distinctly mentioned in the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, the first verse of Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita advocates that one should accept the Tridanda sannyas order by controlling the 6 forces. Vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam, jiva vegam, udaropasta vegam, etan vegam yo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam pritibim shashishya. One who can control the forces of speech, mind, anger, belly, tongue, and genitals is known as a Goswami and is competent to accept disciples all over the world. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never accepted the Mayavad order of sannyas, and for this they cannot be blamed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Sridharshami, who was a Tridandi sannyasi, but the Mayavadi sannyasis do not understand Sridharshami. Sometimes they think that Sridharshami belonged to the Mayavad Ekadandi sannyas community. Actually, this was not the case. Hare Krishna. A long purport. Let's go to the beginning of this purport. So, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse from Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 1st verse. Anashrita karma palam Karyam karama karotiya sanyasi cha yogi cha na niragniya chakriya. That means one who is unattached to the fruits of their work and works as they're obligated is in the renounced order of life, and they are the true mystic, not somebody who lights no fire or performs no work. So Srila Prabhupada would often quote that verse when devotees would request to take sannyas. And sometimes it's seemingly as a discouragement, Prabhupada would recite that verse and say, well, you're already as good as a sannyasi by following this principle of being attached to your work and working as your obligated means to engage all your work in the service of Krishna. You follow. So that's the focus of sannyas, is not the change of dress, but to do whatever you're doing for Krishna's pleasure. That verse is also in there in the 9th chapter, a similar verse. Yat kadoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat karusha madarpanam. So whatever you do, yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, whatever you eat, yat juhosi, dadasi, whatever worship you do, and whatever you give away in charity, yat tapasyasya, whatever tapasya you're doing, austerities you're doing, oh, do it for me. A similar idea, very, very related idea. So sometimes it's misunderstood, as Srila Prabhupada explained later, that Lord Chaitanya had taken Mayavadi or Ikadanda sannyas because Keshava Bharati was known, or at least at that time advertised himself as following of the Shankara Sampradaya. So how can we make sense of that? Well, if you read about Keshava Bharati later, we see that he's one of the roots. If you recall, we read about the different roots of the Chaitanya tree of devotional service. And one of those roots was Keshava Bharati. So however he approached Lord Chaitanya, he was very respectful. And then Lord Chaitanya converted him to become a elevated bhakta. The Chaitanya Bhagavat mentions that when Lord Chaitanya was going to take sannyas, Keshava Bharati was unsure of what mantra to give. So Lord Chaitanya said the sannyas mantra into his ear so that then Keshava Bharati could repeat it to Lord Chaitanya. So in essence, that means that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he initiated Keshava Bharati first, and then was initiated subsequently by him. Does it make sense? Because he got the mantra. Yeah. And if you'll see, the Keshava Bharati was involved very, very strongly in the Sankirtan during the time of Lord Chaitanya's sannyas, and right after that too. He was chanting the holy names enthusiastically with great ecstasy, and accepted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not just as an embodiment of the impersonal Brahman, but as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which can only be done by a person who understands the difference between the Supreme Lord and the individual soul. Jiver Svarupoy Krishna Nitya Das. Krishna Tatasta Shakti Ved Aved Prakash. The living entity is the eternal servant of Krishna by natural nature. That's the so Keshava Bharati accepted that. So Lord Chaitanya is taking sannyas even to this day, and even earlier during the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, is a very controversial part of his pastimes. And why is that? Well, he had a young wife, Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. His first wife, Lakshmi Priya, had died when they were still teenagers. When he went to go to Bengal for a variety of reasons. She died. Sometimes it said she died by snake bite or the snake bite of separation from Lord Chaitanya. And then his mother, hoping to make sure that he didn't take sannyas like his older brother, asked him to get married again, which he did. Vishrimati Vishnupriya Devi. He married her. And not only that, but he had his aged mother at home who was a widow. So he had these two obligations. Still, he took sannyas. What do you make of that? Well, Lord Chaitanya, the reason for Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas, what do you understand? I'm asking the audience. You're muted, Kavita.
So what I think is, well, on the one hand, it seems like it was not the right thing for him to do, because he left his mother and his wife alone. And on the other hand, I feel, is it because he did this for the greater good, because he understood that is what is required of him?
Okay, good. Krishna Village, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu was going to say something.
I didn't say that. You said, I was just waiting to hear. All I can say is that, as it says, Vaishnava, there's this verse called Vaishnava Kriya Mudra. Is it Na Bujayate, something like that? It's very
Vigyai na bujai, yeah.
Bujay. So, this is the from first text and second text paragraph is very much relevant, very your question. Devotional service, when we take it very cheap and easy, then we'll find faults. Even we practice bhakti, but even though there are so many doubts and questions will come into our mind about position of Lord Chaitanya, his activities, what he did. That's why Shastra says that it's not very easy to understand the mind and activities of the Lord and his devotees. Many, as Krishna explains, people deride him, and when he comes and takes the human form of life, Abhajananti mam muda manusim tanvashritam. So he says that. So it's the transcendental activities of Lord Chaitanya, his purpose is there. But mundane, we cannot compare with mundane examples where people give up their wife and children for their selfish reasons. Where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also known as Vishwambara. The whole world is his family. Whole world is his family, and for the benefit of protection of the whole world, deliverance of the whole world, he has taken this change in the social position. But point is, many will find the fault at first point. Oh, how can you do this? How can you give up the responsibility? Taking care of your wife and children, the first priority. Yes. So just wanted to bring some point in that.
Yes, good point. It's not uncommon that some persons, I know of several sampradayas in Vrindavan, where the head of the sampradaya, they decided they'd take sannyas, but then going to Vrindavan, they get married again and have different gopis. Yeah, this kind of thing. So that kind of sannyas, no, that's not recommended. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the perfect example of sannyas. And as Kavita said, while he was still a householder, one of the incidents that stimulated his decision or contributed to his decision to take sannyas was that even his own students were disrespectful to him when he was chanting the names of the gopis, and they said, "What is this? Why don't you chant Krishna?" So, because a sannyasi, even though it's a formal position, generally people give respect to the sannyasi, and in that way, he thought that people would get benefited and they would listen to more his message more carefully, more seriously, more sincerely. So he decided to take sannyas for the benefit of the world, and that's one of the contributing factors that he made that decision. Even though, as you said, it's difficult to understand of the mind of a devotee, still, because the acharyas explained this way, then we can understand that that's a contributing factor to Lord Chaitanya's decision to take sannyas. And others, they criticize that Lord Chaitanya, he himself quoted in his interactions with Chankazi, Ashvamedha Gavalamban Sannyasa Pala Paitlikan. In the Kali Yuga, sannyas is forbidden. So what about that? How come he's taking sannyas? Ashvamedha Gavalamban. He quoted to the Chankazi, because Chankazi was trying to support the idea of eating beef as Vedic. And Lord Chaitanya quoted that shloka saying that in Kali Yuga, the Ashvamedha and Gava, the horse sacrifice and the cow sacrifice, along with sannyas, and begetting a child and your dead brother's wife, those are forbidden. So what about that? Lord Chaitanya himself quoted that. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments about that his purpose in quoting that verse wasn't to emphasize not taking sannyas. His purpose was, why? To counteract the Chankazi's mistaken idea that the Vedas advocate cow killing and beef eating, isn't it? So the other point was secondary, and he says that really the Purana where that verse comes from is the what Purana is that? Brahma Vaivarta Purana. There's 18 Puranas. 6 are in the mode of goodness, 6 are in the mode of passion, and 6 are in the mode of ignorance. So Brahma Vaivarta Purana is one of the Puranas in the mode of passion. And therefore he says it's really that prohibition of sannyas is a prohibition of karma sannyas, means by sannyas by those who are following a pure Vedic path by birth. That's the sannyas that's forbidden. Otherwise, if all sannyas was forbidden, then what are we talking about? We know that Lord Krishna's ultimate instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, and what's the last chapter? What's the title of the last chapter?
Perfection of renunciation.
Yeah, the perfection of renunciation. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Just take shelter of me. You give up all of the dharmas. That's the perfection of renunciation. So Krishna is requesting like that. So if someone can actually do that, that is very wonderful. So not only Lord Chaitanya, but so many of his associates, his own spiritual master, Ishwarapuri, was a sannyasi, and Ishwarapuri's spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, was a sannyasi, right? And in fact, the important heads of the 4 Vaishnav Sampradayas, Ramanujacharya, Nimbarka Swami, Vishnu Swami, and Madhvacharya are all sannyasis, and they were all in Kali Yuga. So it's a mistake to think that this taking of sannyas was was something of an aberration. But it's true that at the time of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, sannyas was not as well known as sannyas from the Shankara Sampradaya. So it was unusual. It was considered. So therefore, he accepted the sannyas from a Shankara, a person apparently from the Shankara Sampradaya, because that was well known. His spiritual master was still living at the time. Ishwarapuri was still there. He hadn't passed away yet at the time. But because it was conventional, the sannyas initiation he took from Keshava Bharati. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate for bringing this clarity, because this sannyas which you mentioned, if I understand correctly, it is prohibited, that sannyas which is recommended in Varnashrama system.
Yes. Yes.
One gets confused with this. And second point is, this this whole purport, if we understand, we'll progress like anything. Krishna makes it very clear what is sannyas again and again. But unfortunately, people go with dress only. Many times people get confused with the dress. Within ISKCON,
dress and beard also. Beard, you gotta have a beard too.
Exactly. All you need to do is a dress and beard now to get respect.
Yeah.
Within ISKCON also, outside ISKCON also,
yes.
Bhagavad Gita made it very clear what is the sannyas means. The first paragraph which you stresses on Lord Krishna's teachings, the perfection of renunciation is the one who actually dovetails everything, dedicates everything in Krishna's service. That's the real sannyas.
Yeah.
But teachings are not very clearly accepted, I think, in our movement as well, many. Because especially in India, I noticed that, though I don't spend too much of time, I noticed that people have a naturally attraction to, anyone who wears saffron. They don't know what is the difference between brahmachari and sannyas anyway. So saffron means sadhu. Even here, Swaminarayan temple I went. They think that wearing saffron, saint means only wearing saffron. All other just, just regular. They are not saints. But Krishna
and it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who reintroduced or reinstituted this Vaishnav sannyas. Because at the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his guru, Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, they didn't take official sannyas. They were Babaji. So, which is the Paramahansa stage, of spiritual life. They were but he wanted to reestablish the sannyas as part of the Varnashram, the Daivi Varnashram, not by birth, but by qualification. So he reinstituted this Vaishnav sannyasi requirements or practice, and it was highly controversial. Even among the followers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it was highly controversial because they argued against that there should be any sannyas in the lineage of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't take official sannyas.
Yeah, because by the name of Babaji, one can really cheat.
Yes.
But so he wanted sannyas also. Here, sannyas also 4 types. They have gradual develop and progress their spiritual life, and they were also observed. There's one question here. I read it here. Is Gadadhar Pandit? Yeah. Is Madhav Upadhyaya accepted Gadadhar Pandit? Accepted sannyas from
Gadadhar Pandit, yeah.
Yeah. And from then Ballavacharya also didn't he take Ballavacharya also took initiation from Gadadhar Pandit?
Well, from his disciple. So, and that's sometimes you read that, just like in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, sometimes you'll see that an initiated person, they're not necessarily, the relationship between guru and disciple are not necessarily through diksha, but through shiksha.
Yeah.
So certainly Gadadhar Pandit was a prominent teacher, and his disciple Madhva Upadhyay then initiated Vallabhacharya. So, under the influence of Gadadhar Pandit, Madhva Upadhyay gave sannyas to, or initiated, says here, initiated.
Still that teachings distorted, looks like. I don't think their teachings are similar to Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings.
Well, the history of this is Pushtimarg or Pushtimarg Vallabhacharya Sampradaya is called Pushtimarg also. There's, this was later in Vallabhacharya's life. He went to Puri and he got mildly chastised by Lord Chaitanya. That was later in his life. And after that is when he took sannyas, he took instruction and accepted Madhva Upadhyay as his preceptor. So, but at that time, there's a devotee named Vedavyas Priyaswami, you know him? Vedavyas Priyaswami. He was brought up in the Vallabha Sampradaya, and before joining ISKCON. And he says that, the Vallabhacharya had already established a lot of his teachings, and his sons were also teaching. And then when he was further influenced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Gaudiya teachings, he tried to introduce it back to his sons, but they didn't like it. That's what I don't know what evidence might be there in our books, but here, you follow what I'm saying?
And an interesting point, you will know that in all the Vallabhacharya followers, they consider Vallabhacharya as the Supreme Lord.
Yes.
As
they call him Mahaprabhuji. Yes.
Mahaprabhu. There's in Jagannath Puri, Badadanda, there's an ashram called Mahaprabhu Baitak. So I was thinking maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rested and sat here, or this place. That's what they have. I walked into and found out that Vallabhacharya's ashram was there, and they considered Vallabhacharya as the Lord, actual Mahaprabhu.
Yeah. So in the Vallabh Sampradaya, also, they reject the idea of sannyas. In case you didn't know. So the Gaudiya Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and so many of his predecessors and also subsequent his associates were sannyasis also. So that's one difference. And of course, there's another difference is generally in the Vallabh Sampradaya, they accept gurus only in the family line of Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya had sons, and they were family men, and they had and some of those family descendants of Vallabhacharya are quite learned in Srimad Bhagavatam and things. But the stance that only a person born in a certain family can be a guru is contrary to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and the Vedic teachings.
Yes.
Yeah, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nashi, Shudra Kene Noi, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. Yeah. So that we don't accept that part. But they can be very elevated devotees. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Prabhupada. I mean, Sumati Maharaji was a staunch Pushtimarg follower.
We are very grateful that Prabhupada's teachings and his disciples continue to teach. Really amazing. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening, everybody.
One minute.
Yes.
Prabhu, can you share one more time? You mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Keshav Bharati.
Yes.
Although Ishwar Puri was still alive then?
Yes.
What was the reason?
Well, Srila Prabhupada seems to indicate in his purports that it was convenient. Ishwara Puri, he had gone to Gaya before when he was first initiated, so it's a little distant. It was convenient, and because socially people accepted that Ekadandi sannyasi or the Shankara, those were the real sannyasis, and in at least in Bengal, recognized that way. So those two things he mentioned. I mean, you can imagine that. Well, he could, if he really wanted to, he could have traveled to see Ishwara Puri to take sannyas from him, but he didn't do that. So apparently, he also, in this way, he elevated Keshav Bharati as well. He purified him. It was a good opportunity to do that. Where, of course, he's not going to purify a spiritual master, Ishwara Puri.
Thank you.
Panchakalpatarubhyashta kripasindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.